What is going on, everybody? This is going to be a run through of how to set up Docker and Docker Compose version 2 on GCP. So let's jump right in. So I'm already logged into GCP and I created a new project called Docker Demo. And I'm just going to go down to Compute Engine and VM Instances. Here's one that I am in the process of destroying. If you're in here for the first time, it's going to ask you to enable the API. Once you click that, it takes maybe 5 minutes, and then you should be able to see a page like this minus this part right here. And then create instance, and let's call this demo 2. Oh, doesn't like spaces. There we go. And you can see it's estimating our cost over here. 3 cents an hour. And if you shut it down when you're not using it, that's fine. Saves you some cost there. And so, scrolling on down, the region, and then the region contains several zones you can choose from. I usually like to go with standard and 8 gigs. I tend not to run into issues there. Don't need to worry about the core and the CPU count. Container, in case you'd like to deploy a container from the image registry to the machine, but that's something else. So in here, I usually like to go with Ubuntu and choose a more recent version. Here you can see when these were built, and that's when these were built on GCP, not necessarily the build. And LTS is long-term support. I'm looking for a regular one that actually I like Jammy. That's what I'm using on my home PC. Just be aware there is ARM architecture, which is a little bit different. You can run into issues. I know Raspberry Pi uses ARM architecture, and I think more and more computing devices are. But in our case, we're just going to use the AMD 64 x86-64, so we can run 32-bit or 64-bit programs. Balanced persistent disk. I believe that splits it between SSD and HDD. You could do standard persistent disk. Probably won't make too much of a difference. We just go ahead and select. That's about $50 a month. And let's see. If we just do standard, that drops it down like $1. So, in my opinion, I'll just go with balanced persistent disk. Give it 20 gigs. And go ahead and select that. Let's see if we go to advanced options, security, manage access. Here we can add an SSH key to the VM. You can also add it to the metadata of the project. You would do that somewhere down here. I'll circle back to that in a few. For that, we can just do GCP SSH key generation. Go ahead, and there's probably a nice piece we can copy here. And if we just open up a terminal, we can paste that. Whatever you want your username to be. I'm just going to use Gary. That's one I usually use. And I'm just going to call this GCP demo. And this tilde means that it is going to use our home directory and put it in a directory called .ssh. So we can run that from anywhere on our PC. Our private key and public key will be in the .ssh directory. It's okay to leave the passphrase blank, and we can just go to the SSH directory. And what we will want to do, because we called it GCP demo, there is our private key that we keep on our PC and the public key to place on the machine that we want to SSH to. So we just want to go ahead and cat that out and make sure it's the public key. And we'll just grab that. And it'll let me paste. There we go. Okay. That all looks good. And actually, I was going to see if I could find it real quick. You could do a spot instance. So a spot instance basically is, you see that 5092 there. If I go ahead and do a spot instance, let that update. See, that drops it down dramatically. But the thing is, there is no guarantee that it's not going to be taken. If they need the computing resources, the storage resources, basically Google makes no guarantee that it won't just wipe you out at any time. So I don't know, maybe if you were working on a GitHub project that you were pushing a lot, or if it was something you were spinning up VMs from an image for, you have a script to just spin one up and check if a certain file's been written to cloud storage, and if not, go ahead and write it. And if it goes down, that's okay, because another one's going to spin up. But that is an option. But in this case, I don't want to risk it just being wiped out at the moment. So I am going to go ahead and create that. Let's see, what issue? Oh, okay. So the regular one, it just says, hey, if they need the compute resources and disk that I'm on, it's just going to move it somewhere else. Okay. So we'll go ahead and create that. Give that a moment to spin up. And while that's going, we can look down here. There we go. Metadata. So if you wanted to add an SSH key that's going to be added to your VMs, all instances in this project inherit these keys. This is where you would add it. And if you're just working on personal projects, that's probably fine. I just wanted to show you that there is an option. I don't know, you and your buddies are tight on cash and you all throw down for GCP billing, but you don't want them in your VMs. Again, I don't know, that's just an option. So here we have the external IP address, the one that's visible to the internet, and we're just going to go ahead and copy that. And note that it is ephemeral, meaning when we stop and restart the instance, it can and most likely will change. So in here, we can just SSH the username we chose when generating the key, and we'll just go ahead and type yes. And here we are in our nice new instance. So let's go ahead and install Docker Compose on Linux. And that is not actually the one I want. I think that one goes off of Launchpad. The Compose plugin. I don't want Docker Desktop. Why is this being weird? Okay, that looks right. And let's see. All right, we'll go ahead and just copy and run these. And let's do an update. Install these if they're not already installed. Add the GPG key. Make sure you don't get a copy and paste error. Just going to modify the permissions on that a little bit. And add this as a repository. And just to note, let's see. When you see a $sign like this in a command, that's going to be a variable, so you can always just check it and see that is jammy. If we had chosen Bionic, or I think the other one was Kinetic, you would see that name there. So if you run into some issues, I don't know, I guess that's just a good tip for helping you troubleshoot some of these commands you run into issues. Just know that there are variables there that you could check. All right, that repository has been added. We have a GPG key, so now the update should go ahead and see that. And we should be able to just run this as an install. Could have done a -y to not be prompted. And let's say we also want to add ourselves to the Docker group. Let's see. See if it'll give us a nice error message. We could probably do a sudo, but I don't want to run that every time. So add user to Docker group. Post installation steps. Let's see. I believe the group may have automatically been added? Yes, it was. And so this, again, the $, the user just being our current user, Gary. So, and we need to log out and log back in, or now they have a nifty little helper there that now we should be able to run the command without sudo. Up arrow is not working because new GRP seems to have created a new session, as it should have. Docker run hello world. And let's see, we should be able to do Docker space compose. Version 1 had a dash in there. I believe it was written in Python. Now it's rewritten in Go and is included with Docker, or Docker maintains it. So we can see Docker compose works as well. And we are good to go. Now, what we could do is we could create a machine image, and I'll just call this Docker compose image. Oh, it wants lowercase. And let's see, my VM with Docker and Docker compose installed. And this is just where the image is going to be saved to. And if I go ahead and create, and I don't want to create an image, that one's still spinning up. We could create an instance from that image, or we should also be able to do VM instances. And we could go ahead and spin it up there. So if you're worried about making your VM messy, you might want to create an image. You could also, at this point, I think there used to be an option for snapshots, but let me check real quick. Actually, let me just create GCP VM snapshot. Let's see. So we would just go to the boot disk. Oh, I think I need to shut it down first. Go ahead and stop that. Oh, maybe I didn't need to stop it. I apologize. So okay, I was going to say some can be uppercase, but it looks like they always want lowercase with Docker. Docker and Docker Compose. That's for disaster recovery. Location, multi-regional. And I can just go ahead and create. Something to be aware of, snapshots and images do cost money because you're using storage on disk. So it's, I want to say 0.017 cents per gig. Okay, so yeah, 1.9 cents per gig per month, and looks like this is 7.47 megs. And let's see, VM instances, create, there's template, there's machine. Let's see, if I go to snapshots, compute engine, and oh, sorry, I am going to the wrong place here. I want to go VM instances, create instance from snap, and we should be able to go here. And if you look, it automatically expanded it there to the 20 gigs. So I could select that, and so the snapshot is the boot disk, so that's the OS, the size of the disk, and notice I would still need to adjust the actual processors and memory, which are not part of the disk, which are not part of the snapshot. But anyway, that was a quick introduction or a quick run through of how to get Docker and Docker Compose going on a VM on GCP, and just some of the options that are in there around the VM. Hopefully it didn't meander too much. You learned a lot, or learned a thing or two. If you have any nice tricks or any other things you would like me to look at, I'm learning with you. So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in another video.